So to moderate this plenary session, please join me as I make welcome Tayo Odunsi, the Chief Executive Officer of North Court Real Estate. A round of applause for Tayo, please. Thank you. So this conversation is on residential real estate, and I'm looking forward to this one in particular. Joining Tayo on stage, we will wait for Tayo because Tayo is moderating and he will be here to receive his panelists. Tayo for moderating this conversation. He's on stage now. He'll be there to receive Odunsi Ojo, the Chief Executive Officer, UPDC PLC. A round of applause for Mr. Odunsi Ojo as he joins Tayo on stage for this conversation on residential real estate. Joining them as well is Jide Adekola, the Chief Executive Officer of Homework Group. Please make welcome Jide Adekola with a round of applause. A round of applause, please. Thank you. Let's not get tired, but we have one more plenary after this, and then we'll go on lunch break, and then we'll have the award ceremony proper. Over to you now, our able moderator. Thank you.
To pull these things on you, but I'm sure your perspectives are going to be super useful. So, I mean, just sitting there, I've heard quite a lot, talked about, how things have changed since the pandemic, and obviously, the power refiners and kind of sells in currently in terms of the economy, foreign exchange, and to say that we already had a housing challenge and then all of this is now happening, it just makes it look like the conundrum is getting wider. So I guess my first question to everyone on the panel will be, what do you in your sphere see as the way out in the sense that Odunsi and Jide, you are both on the supply side, you are bringing products into the market. How are you making it happen? How are you making it happen as affordably as possible? How are you not, bringing products that people can't afford onto the market? How are you able to make a profit? Because it's important for you to make a profit so that you are here tomorrow sustainably to be able to give us more real estate. And obviously, now we will speak to us on the demand side. How are your clients able to afford property? How are they able to access any top source of financing in this market? So I'll start with Mr. Odunsi Ojo of UPDC first, and then I'll move to Laura next. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, Tayo, for the question. So I think we all live in this era where costs are going up, there's increased inflation, and there is a real pressure on people's ability to afford anything. Housing being one of the basic needs of man. We've had to go back to the drawing board and look at how we can recreate the housing product. Previously, people were used to very big spaces because land was relatively more affordable and cost of construction was manageable. Now, people have had to realize that the cost of construction is being reduced to per square meter prices. So we are looking at smaller units, designing smart houses. So in the past, where people used to build, houses of 200, 250, 300 square meters, people are having to do with units that are even less than 100 square meters, gross. And that is because, it is more efficient to effectively design in that way and make it affordable. Also, we've come to realize that we can't do it alone. So collaboration is an important part of the discussion. So instead of going to seek very expensive financing, we can collaborate with people, parties within the value chain. So landowners can do joint venture with developers to reduce the cost of acquisition. We've also seen a situation where even contractors and suppliers can join in the delivery of houses and become principals as opposed to vendors. That way, we see a situation where we can all join put equity into development processes and transfer the savings to our customers. And lastly, we've also started to look at different procurement strategies. So one of the problems with construction is that you don't know what the building materials will cost in the next 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. So right from the beginning, you want to lock in prices and work around challenges with procurement, procure things early so that you can lock in the prices, and then over the period of construction, you can use those things. So those are some of the strategies we're looking at. I'm sure during the course of this session, we'll talk more about it.
All right. Thank you so much, sir.
From someone who also deals with international property, I can say that we have been enjoying the luxury of much bigger spaces where we're seeing people who are buying things much smaller for much higher. And so we're seeing that people are willing to buy that smaller room, that smaller house that is solar panel, that has everything that they need. Because right now, I think that the Nigerian buyer now knows exactly what they want. They want everything that you can get anywhere. And I think they rightfully deserve it. So we would actually want the developers to be able to meet that demand. So.
Awesome. Jay.
Thank you. Always, Mr. Alban, always, hits it before me. But for some reason, you're always almost on the same panel. But for me, what I would say is, from our perspective as architects, creativity is very important. By the time we look at the way you have a lot of issues happening, there's always an opportunity. So it's important to think through that opportunity and see where you can get stuff happen. So for instance, you have inflation and you have the forex evaluation and the way the forex is volatile. But you also have that as an opportunity for those in diaspora to, buy what they couldn't afford before. So, definitely for design, we're going to be looking at smaller spaces for sure. But at the same time, you also have an opportunity to sell what you have to those individuals. And that's what has really helped us through this period. Partnerships and collaboration are very key as well, because we've actually had suppliers come in and be part of the development. So if you bring, for instance, I have a lift supplier that is actually converting his purchase into a unit. But the truth is that as he's converting into a unit, he can also sell when it's all completed. The thing about inflation is that you still ultimately can sell at the end, but it's just that you're not putting it on, if you put it on off plan, you've already agreed on an amount. Midway, how do you, and this has taught us a lot of lessons, because the offer letters are not changing. If anything changes, just the way you say force major, if anything changes in between, then we need to change the prices at that point. But what I've seen is it's actually, you can now adjust prices, you can get some kind of creative funding before the end of the project. And that way you can also increase your price at the end. We've seen people actually come in and drop top dollar. And I can give an example of a 2-bed that was 27 million and at the end was 40 million. So for us, it's just that creativity. You really need to think deep, who are your partners, who you collaborate with, what's really happening as there's an opportunity, there's an issue somewhere, there's an opportunity somewhere else. So I think it's very important that we need to think that way. We're not creative about it. It's very tough, but that's why you have to just stay together and just keep it moving.
Awesome. Very interesting insights that we shared on the panel so far. So leveraging creativity, working around your design, looking at more efficient spaces, partnerships, all right, and in the face of the demand, knowing exactly what they want. I guess my next round of questions is how much of technology is being used to potentially fight this battle? Is there any way that you're leveraging technology, to be able to, reduce, your cost, to make your processes more efficient, or are buyers leveraging technology to be able to access, homes that they maybe wouldn't have done before from a marketing perspective? They now can sit on the platform or thereabouts, and they're accessing finance through technology. What's happening? I think I would like to start perhaps with Margaret this time around.
With regards to real estate. I'll say that with regards to property and properties that are occupied, yes, people want smarter homes. People have been dealt with the prices of diesel. People want electricity that's efficient. People don't want any extras that do not need to be extra. I'll say that the easy access to property prices, the easy comparability is now at people's fingertips. This is no longer about you charging one point, another one charging 80 for the same thing. So what I'll say is that technology has just opened it for more competition, more comparability, more seamless solutions.
Awesome. So, I mean, what you're saying is the activities of people like rent small, making, people able to rent properties, in monthly or weekly, on a weekly basis, helping access people like buy lately, you can find out where properties are across the road. It's helping not just for people to find property, it's also helping to make pricing more transparent. I think that's very, very important, and kudos to these guys for this kind of work, because I mean, back in the day, I met too many people that would buy a property for say 100 million and later find out that they could have bought it for 80, because the information asymmetry was just too enormous. But now you can always do your price checking and fact finding through these platforms. Awesome. All right. Jide, how you leverage it?
So for me, I think it's basically taken as an enabler. At the end of the day, is what you still do that matters. So I think it's just looking at across board. When you say technology, there's different angles to it. It makes us sell better, get to people faster. We have meetings. You can actually have a site meeting.
So you need to stand the sun for
you need to transport yourself all the way. You need to get. I mean, people outside the country probably know what's going on around that area, more than people that are even there. So, it's, there are parts of technology that is expensive, but the truth is, again, creativity, because if you look at how can I use this to enhance different parts of what I do, you now tend to see, even with design, at the end of the day, yes, for the short letter and all, people want to come to a more comfortable space and all of that, and you can use that to enhance it to be able to charge more, but there are places where you have to also be smart about it, because if you're just going to be increasing your costs, so you have to really, it's not just, they say technology and you just use it. Technology will expand something that is bad, and it will also expand something that is good. So for me, what I think is, for us, generally, we look at our processes, we look at how we run things. Do we really need all the people we need? Are you working in the best way possible to ensure that you deliver what you want to deliver? So like I said, from the marketing point of view, that has really helped. It has cut short a lot of gaps and communication, making communication better. And with other parts of like facility management, trying to also, because of this issue with diesel and all of that, started thinking, how do you fix, how do you have a cost for maybe like a solar panel, yes, you can do that, how do you get your street lights to be solar panel? So you're doing it, you might not be fully doing it, but at the same time you're telling them the benefits, because it's a huge capital cost. And people now have realized that the running cost is more expensive than that capital cost we have brought in the beginning. So what we do is, okay, how do you subtly give it to them? So you add it to the price of the house and say, your house is coming with this. So when they see it to the price of the house, they easily pay for that. But you have to understand that when you say, oh, buy the house and then there's this, then you now have that problem. So like I said, it's just you looking at the spectrum across. There's no way you can do anything now without technology. And the way the user experience is changing. We're having a lot younger people that understand these things. And it's important that we apply them, because if we don't, other people take market from you. So it's just that creativity all the way. You just have to think through it and do. And it's very tough in Nigeria, but
great, awesome. So what I hear you say is that development is no more just building things. You have to be very thoughtful. You have to think through things. You need to think about how people are going to engage with the space when they are living in there. And you're already thinking about how to crash their maintenance cost, even from the design and construction stage. And that's very right. You're leveraging technology to do all of this. Awesome. Mr. Dwyer.
Thank you. I think I totally agree with what Naomi and Kola have said on the technology side enabling business. So we see technology as cutting across all steps. So they've talked about the marketing side. I mean, it's almost impossible to sell real estate now without social media. I mean, we've all seen, people selling properties on Instagram and on Facebook. It's a huge, huge explosion in terms of access to the market, and being able to reach people in the diaspora has also been, enabled, by technology and the interface. But more than that, we also see technology on the supply side as well. Our ability to build more efficiently has been enabled by technology. Right from how you design, the kind of software you can use to design, you can calculate a lot of what you will need to reduce waste, by just using technology in terms of the softwares you use for design and for interiors and things like that. Also in construction, we've seen technology come to play where you can, if you're doing mass housing, you can use modular building systems to roll out, thousands of units at a fraction of the cost, because you can leverage on, formwork and a few other things that technology can enable you to do. We've also heard about 3D printing of homes, which is the cutting edge that hasn't really fully been deployed in Nigeria, but I'm sure at some point we'll see a situation where people can start printing homes. We've seen some examples done in other markets, and it will eventually make its way to Nigeria. So clearly, technology is a disruptor, and as costs continue to rise, people begin to see how they can add more efficiency to the real estate delivery process, and technology can help with that. Thank you.
Awesome, fantastic, great insight. I guess my final round of questions will border on construction quality, and then I will pass it to the floor to ask questions, because I'm sure you have your questions to ask this panel. I always tell people that when I started real estate many years ago, the kind of houses that used to be on the market, if they are on the market today, they will dash people as ready present and people will return it. Because the demand has so shifted. Every house almost looks like would have been described as a luxury house back then. Houses were so plain vanilla. Now, see all the things now we say people want, in the house. Is it a house you want or a hotel room? But hey, that's what it is. I enter some developments, these are like, are we about to start a party? The speakers. I enter GDS projects and I'm like, what's going on here? But that's the demand now, and as the demography is buying real estate gets even younger, we can only imagine that very soon real estate, some buildings will be coming with artwork, with cars, it might come with all manner of accompaniments, So how have you, been able to manage, construction, quality, even in the face of what's happening in the market, and at the same time, I want you to kind of speak to, because in recent times we've also seen a lot of, poorly built real estate. They look great, right? But if you spent 1 year in the real estate industry, you can tell that this is poorly built. So how this yin yang, how are you able to, manage it? To build to demand of the demographics today, very nicely finished property, but manage price. And still restudy. How are you able to manage that conundrum? Because that is a major conundrum that exists currently. Jide, do you want to go first?
Okay, so a very good question. So for construction itself, for us at a point where we're even really scaling up, it's important to keep the supervision at the top level. First of all, obviously you have to use professionals. I don't know what people are meant to use professionals. In our own case, we are already professionals, so it makes it easy. But in scaling up, we began to see the problems, because you can't be everywhere at the same time. So what we decided to do is concentrate on what you know best. And collaboration is very important. We've actually had contractors collaborate as part of the development. And what you're doing really is that you are spreading the know-how, and you kind of like know, for instance, we have an interior person that is external person that is part of the development, supervising across all finishing. So again,
come again.
Yes.
As a developer, you have an interior design person
Yes.
as part of your team.
Exactly. So external person coming in to almost like route the entire supervision, not necessarily doing the finishing.
And that's why at the end of the project looks like a hotel. It's very good.
So basically, again, such a person will also tell you, and the research will tell you what's going on now. And then that person can also apply it. So the truth is that, knowledge is not, sometimes when you share that knowledge, at the end of the day, you don't know how many heads are on that one project.
Yeah.
There's so many people that bring different ideas, from financing to design to construction. And because we also try to almost change the narrative every time we do a new design, it's also very interesting for all the parties to also try to make it happen. So again, it's just a collaboration of different heads on it. Because the point about all of this is that, and this just came in as a lesson when scaling up. We have commercial property, we have 2 beds, we have different types of units. You have places where you're doing 120 units. So you use several contractors. They are all there at the same time, and they can see the pace at which some are working, some are better than the others. They learn from each other. It's not just about sanctioning people and trying to. It's also about making sure they're better. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have that empathy and that understanding that you're trying to work together, it's very hard to get skilled labor in Nigeria. We are beginning to start an academy to also even train those guys. Like the iron benders. You should see the person training the other iron bender is an old man, but he reads drawings, and an engineer will actually look at it and almost not be able to attack the guy because he knows what he's doing. So we said, look, you know what you're doing. Why don't you train these guys and get it better? Because at the end of the day, you can't scale up without thinking about those granular issues. Because at the end of the day, you're just going to get a shoddy job. We have our own team that build. Once they get to capacity, are probably working with about 7 to 10 contractors, and each of them have probably about 2 projects each. So that way, you are saving yourself the commutes to the mainland, right, several times over for simple mistakes when you have a contractor that is responsible for what he wants to do. So I think, that is on the edge of scaling up. But I think generally with finishing and all of that, it's just important to ensure that supervision is key. People have to have that, put their heads down to really watch the project. The moment you take your eyes off the project, different things can happen. So as an owner, as somebody that has that duty of care, you always have to ensure that you keep that. You can always get an external consultant. In our own case, in fact, we started even consulting for other developers, and it's not because we want to, because we also know that they want to do the right thing. So it's not just about anyone. So that for us, that's really what we try to do.
Fantastic. And as I hear you, I can just tell you that what you're doing is really not sustainable. It's absolutely not sustainable. There's only so many subcontractors you can keep adding and adding, but once you are developing capacity, you get the same quality results all the time. And once you embed it into your processes, that we will always develop capacity. It's just going to be great. I hope every developer in the house that is listening, just because that's provided that fantastic homework.
Thank you.
Mr. Odunsi, how are you able to manage, that, you need to stay profitable, get what the demand is, the high quality the demand wants, but, still manage to give very good quality?
Yeah, it's a very important question. We have a brand to protect. So the first thing I would say is that you have to keep your promise as a developer. And quality delivery is one of the things that really stand us out as a brand. UPDC has been doing development for the last 25 years, and we don't have a single collapse building. We don't have any client that's come to say, hey, we bought a UPDC house 10 years ago and they have cracks, from the top to the bottom. And that takes a lot of planning and a lot of rework of your processes. So over the years, we've been working on our delivery mechanisms. And I like what Julie said around using professionals. You can't cut corners. There's just no good reason to cut corners, because at the end of the day, it always comes back to bite. So you must always use professionals. You must not cut corners around the quality of your materials, and you must deliver your promise. And how we're able to manage the cost aspect of it, because quality costs money. But if you think quality costs money, just try the opposite of quality, and then you see that it will cost you more. So we've leveraged on our ability to scale. So when you have scale on your side, then you're able to distribute the costs, you're able to distribute your overhead, and you have economies of scale. So we're able to deliver quality to as many of our clients as come to us, because we have also scaled our operations. Then we control project management. So project management is a skill that is in high demand right now in our industry, because that is where everything funnels through. So we don't leave quality control and quality assurance to third party. We control it in-house, because we know what our customers want. So project management we keep in-house. We deliver to time, we deliver to cost, and deliver to quality, because that resides with us. And we take all our value chain players to task. We don't tolerate poor delivery. If you're a contractor and you deliver poor quality, we will never use you again, and we will not still pay you for bad work. So it's just about being meticulous and being very, very focused on quality delivery on the supply side. Also, in terms of what the customers want, we are always speaking to our customers, trying to understand the changing taste, trying to understand, the changing trends. In the past, people could have a 3-bedroom where, 2 beds share a bath and a toilet. These days, people don't want that anymore. Every room must be en suite. Many homes built in the 70s and the 80s, had a different configuration. Right now, even a small 5-year-old child wants his or her own bathroom. That's the way it is right now, and you must deliver what the customers want. If you can marry the two, I think we have a winning formula. Thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic. It just reminds me of some recent research that we did at Northcote. And the kind of findings that we are getting is, what are the features that makes certain houses fly off the shelf? I won't state those features publicly. But what I'll say is, it's just interesting, what happens when you do thorough research, you do your findings, before you start a project. The benefits are just too important. And as you were speaking, I remember what my first boss said to me. I think I was a year 2 student, then just doing holiday in the job. Really not knowing what I had just done for him to have said this to me. He said, "Tayo, you need to understand that the bitterness of poor quality lingers long after the sweetness of low price is gone." And I just looked at this man that day. It's a quote by Lord Byron anyways. It wasn't his original words, but it's just interesting that the bitterness of poor quality, it lingers long after the sweetness of low price is gone. So for those of you that you want to buy real estate and you want the best price, you need to be careful that maybe the bitterness may linger long after. Or those of you that are disturbing Ayo, do this research for me at this price. The good thing is that I won't give you bitter quality, but sometimes these things cost price. And I guess that's my question to you, Laomi. What's the pulse in terms of purchasing power? I want you to speak to two, because I know you wear 2 hats. Obviously, you know the Nigerian market very well, but you've also transitioned to international markets. What's the difference between the Nigerian buyer and the international buyer? What's important to that? This was doing free research, so now maybe just going to give us some free data. Or should I not ask her that question? I should ask her. So now, what's the difference between the international buyer and the local buyer? What's important to the international buyers? What's critical to the local buyer? And thirdly, what's the purchasing power like? What's the pulse on the international buyer and the local buyer? So it's 1A, 1B, 1C. How many everybody?
I think there's so much to say, but I'll say that they have these things in common. Everybody knows they need a good property. Everybody knows the kind of size that is acceptable to them. Everybody knows what they want inside a property. In Nigeria, to be honest, I would say that Nigerians have a fantastic purchasing power. And most people than you think. I think I should just leave it as than you think. Mainly because a Nigerian wants to own his home in full. It's a different mindset from somebody who is abroad, who is willing to spread it among 5 or 6 properties or the same amount a Nigerian has locked into one. But I would say that with regards to construction, it's great to see the modern methods of construction are in and everything is in, but what I would really like to see is more people go into 10-year guarantee after sale. I think that would make it a more fair quality across board, because if I'm going to come back to your house 5 years after I've built it, that's going to be a problem for me. I think we would like to see so much more, because abroad, it's guaranteed. No developer wants to come back, so they get it done the first time and right. With regards to what people... Did I miss anything? Yeah, they want... Purchasing power. A wealthy Nigerian can afford anything anywhere. And Nigerians are willing to pay. That's the thing, Nigerians are willing to pay for it abroad. And I think that when they come home, this is home. Honestly. But this is home, and I think that when a Nigerian goes abroad and leaves the life, and of course abroad you're thinking I'm close to transport, I'm close to service areas, I'm close to the nearest shop, I can get everywhere. In Lagos, people want quality, and I think that no matter how many houses people buy abroad, they like to come home and enjoy that quality. Like me being home now, I don't even care, they should take lights. We're all in Lagos, I'm home. So I'll say that, yeah, for that Nigerian, I think that Nigerian wants a global experience. That Nigerian wants whatever I can get there, I should be able to get here. And I think that we're getting to a point where people's tastes are becoming one wherever they are.
Fantastic, interesting insight. Thanks for sharing that. But now let me tell you one thing about, see, the thing is that in Nigeria, the man's money is our money. The woman's money is our money. So when she wants to buy property, you'll be surprised. And she just says, banana I want. You'll be surprised. That's why. That's what now me, am I lying? All right, I'll open it to the floor for about 2 questions, and then we'll call the panel back.
The question before our first, then Akitejide. You mentioned something around, the mindset of Nigerians around wanting to own an entire house and all of that, and as against like the foreigner who would want to invest in, different kind of locations with the same amount and sort of spread around. What are like the strategies you think we can apply to sort of cause like a mindset shift for Nigerians, especially Nigerians living in Nigeria? Because I feel like that is one thing that we need to explore if we're even going to be able to, sort of solve the housing problems that we have, the deficit, most importantly. Because Nigerians want to own a home, so if you tell them to own a fraction, it's like, I don't want to own half, I want to own the entire thing. Even when you know they cannot afford, and they even know they cannot afford the entire thing, and you're telling them to own a part of it, they're like, no. So, because I am currently working on a prop tech platform, it's called Realty, and it helps Nigerians, own fractions in different properties, in different locations. And I know for that, we need to do a lot of education, right? Because it's a mindset thing to start with. So that's one challenge we are facing, You tell someone that is earning, 400K or 300K, and you tell them to own a piece, they say no, but they can't own the whole. So, yeah.
That has been paid for. I think that Nigerians should be open to owning. I think this is an investment. If I come into a property that's been sold, say I buy one of the PDCs or I buy one of Homeworks, and they say come in as an initial investor, I buy off plan, say it's going for 250 million in Lekki Phase 1, and I bought one. You know what, I have I don't have 250, but I have 50. Five people who own it as 50. I have bought it at the off-plan. Upon sale, on completion, I know that's a different price. Some people will not buy at off-plan, some people buy at completed. There's already a spread there. It's an investment opportunity for me, and I think it's just about clarity. With regards to buying property, I think that the reason why it works there is because they have a mortgage system that works at very low rates. That's very different from our own realities here. And it's just about trying to balance both macro issues and what we can afford.
I mean, first thing I'll say to you, she started by saying she's interested in that solution, so she's going to apply investment. And second thing that she said, which I want to clarify for you, she highlighted that you should focus on second home buyers. When you, for the first house, you want to, there's still like you have a landlord. If you own 75%, that 25 is your landlord. And it's happening. There's some products, help to buy or something in the UK, for example. The help to buy scheme, brilliant in my opinion, but it makes the government a corner in your property. Trust me, people are still trying to get rid of the government because and these are British people, right? If you check other places, you still find out because that's their first, because the product is for first-time buyers anyways for your home. So what I'm trying to say is that globally, and it's not just locally, the first home people want to have it. Where realty can play well is in the investment market, where there are people buying second homes and all of that. And with all the education that you're doing with now means support, I'm sure you will do it. All right? Okay.
But what I'll tell you for sure is that it's a different change who you're selling to. You're selling an investment. The way you have stocks, it's not that the person is trying to buy at the away. What the person is trying to do is, so it's a mindset, you have to sell it like you sell an investment. It's a financial product, yes. It's a financial product. And the good thing about that is you'll be surprised at how many people can go with it when they know. So I agree with you that education is important, but what you're really doing is you're creating wealth through real estate. You're using real estate as a tool. So I think that's just what it is. So if you change that mindset, you see, if you share people here, you'll be surprised at how many people are going to jump at it. Because there are many people that can't even afford their first home, but they can slots or whatever it is.
Great. That's a gem. So that actually means you need some mindset shift, to see it as you're selling an investment, not even necessarily real estate. Real estate is just the underlying asset that guarantees the revenue. All right, sir.
One, you've not spoken about the QS, which is one of the bones of your core in terms of cost in use, initial cost, and all that. It's very important. I don't know how much you'll be able to make use of that, right from the design to the execution. That is one. Two, I've not heard something about value engineering. It's very important. When you say value engineering, how much more work are you going to do to get some things at a quality but not necessarily increasing cost? And there's some design that can take up that. We've done design whereby the slab, we have polystyrene embedded in the slab. And that reduces the weight of the building, and that challenges your foundation not to be too heavy. And all that, those are things that reduces cost. On the third aspect, which is more of how there's some time where we deliver carcass, that's a shell. Because at time when you finish, the client will come and say he doesn't want this style, and he strips it off. I don't want this, he strips it off. That's a waste. If you don't think about it, it's going to translate down to the economy, because somebody is wasting something somewhere. So I don't know how far you've done that. Some developer will dress the front, that's the elevation, while the inside is just left bare for the client or the off-taker to come and finish to his taste. It's for everybody. Thank you.
Analysis on just simple tiles. And from the design stage, you have tiles at certain sizes. And I'm sure you understand this as a QS. You can imagine just having that 0.5 that is cutting a tile at the edge. And you have a floor plan that is 3 meters. and you're getting 3.05. So you have that off cut, and it will surprise you when you finish a big, large development like that, how much off cuts you have. You can tile 2 buildings. We've checked it before. So you're very right, and it's part of what I said about the professionals from the onset. We have to understand, it's unfortunate that some coming out of school now don't want to have the patience to learn and understudy, because that experience is important. I've dealt with so many professionals and saved a lot of cost through value engineering. So it was very interesting you mentioned that, because there are certain things you can do that will reduce your cost drastically, even from the piling. So I would also just try to appeal to developers that it's important to understand these things. What we do is that we always throw a budget to every project, and it has to come from a QS. Even if we build so much and we understand the costing, we are not the QS. And then the QS now comes at stages to show us where we are compared to budget. And it's very important because you're going to use that data for other things. So you're very right about it. I think it's just really educating people about, any developer can come out and say, I want to be a developer. It's not sharp sand, it's not granite, it's not casting. But you're very right, and I think this is the kind of platform that you can actually voice out things like that. That's why I asked to speak, because it's something I'm also passionate about. So, you're very right. That's just